Holy smokes. We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do us well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends if you want to support this college football's rebel outpost, the home for the college football sickos, with a donation. Help us keep the lights on and grow the channel. Just hit that $sign where you make your comment, and I'll get to your super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. Big Ten fracture. It reminds me a little bit about in the COVID era. Big Ten fracture. Now, I know what's going to happen. We are going to cover this story like a blanket. But right out the bat, guys, right out the bat, this show is, again, Greg, you are gaslighting. Greg, you are grifting, grifting, whatever the verb is of the adjective or noun or whatever. we got ourselves a fracture. And here at Peek Around the Corner, we call it like it is. We call the balls and the strikes. If you don't like it, well, put it down in the chat room or give me a phone call. We ain't no Big Ten bootlicker here at PATC. This is a Big Ten fracture. I don't know how wide the fracture is. It's going to get mighty interesting here real soon. First of all, breaking news, more reporting. We're going to go through the article. Dan Wetzel. By the way, this is one of the greatest days of Dan Wetzel's life. One of the greatest days of Pat Forty's life. One of the greatest days of Dennis Dodd's life. I could go on and on and on. But I won't. We don't know how big there's a fracture. There is definitely a fracture in the conference. There is, for the first time, even the COVID era, this is the first time that schools are looking at each other that I can remember. I think it is the first time, really. That schools in the Big Ten are looking at each other like, are you really committed to the Big Ten? Or do you got your eye on this elite Super League? Remember, realignment never sleeps, number one. Number two, relationships matters a lot. And the relationships, let's take a look at the Northwestern Wildcats. Jim is in the house. Northwestern Wildcats. Northwestern, one of the charters members of the Big Ten. They are building an $800, $900 million football stadium. State of the art, 35,000. It's going to be beautiful for traveling fans to go to. Northwestern doesn't have that big a fan base. You're going to be able to get a ticket. It's going to be $900. Who knows? It might become a $1 billion football stadium. Northwestern did this, and it's not going to have any debt to it. They did this with the idea, with no question at all, that the Big Ten grant of rights was going to go far well beyond 2036. And it still might. It's a fracture. It's not an implosion. It's a fracture. It's not a separation. It's a fracture. The thing ain't blowing up, but it's a fracture. No, you better believe it's a fracture. Of course it is. Of course it is. And at the end of the day, I might even agree with USC and Michigan. Because we haven't got enough of the details really to know. But there is a fracture. And it's being done by Michigan and USC. They are the two outsiders here. And we're going to know here. We're going to know how big this fracture is. Because if in the next couple of days, later tonight, because remember, this report we're going to go through the article, is about what USC and Michigan, they're basically doubling down. They're saying, we are not for, we don't want this deal. There are better deals out there, Michigan is saying. Really? If there are better deals out there, you better spill them. You better get them out. Maybe there is. Maybe there's Saudi Arabia money sitting there. Michigan would never take that, would they? They wouldn't. We'll talk about the Saudi Arabians and their money and North Carolina here in a little bit. You got USC. I'm not anti-USC. I wanted USC into the Big Ten. We broke this story here at Peek Around the Corner. And I might end up agreeing with USC. But what is being reported about what USC is really against on this? I don't know. I don't know. USC does not have the equity. Not with me, they don't. Maybe with you all they do, but not with me, they don't. We've got a problem in the Big Ten. Because unless, now look, I don't know if I'm for this deal, okay? But what is the better deal? We got to get it out there. They've been working on this for months. The UC investment came in July. They've been working on this for 3-4 months. And Michigan keeps calling it a private equity deal, and it's not. Michigan says the Big Ten can get a better deal. We're going to look at that in a moment. You better get that better deal out there, because here's the problem. Here is the problem. Perception becomes reality. If you don't kick out a better idea, if you don't have a better idea up your sleeve, that's not from a private equity firm, if you don't have a better deal out there, then there are schools, and it's happening right now. There are schools looking at Michigan and USC and saying, you no longer committed past 2036. Because that's what they're thinking. Michigan, basically the Big Ten university out there, is not committed to the conference past 2036 because there might be some elite Super League out there? Really? Michigan? What is Wisconsin thinking right now? What is Northwestern thinking right now? What is Minnesota thinking right now? As they all have been part of the Michigan faction. To bring in USC, to bring in UCLA, to bring in Oregon, to bring in Washington, to bring in Rutgers, to bring in Maryland. I mean, you want to know how crazy? Okay, let me just give you an example. Let me give you a little bit of an example how crazy this is from Michigan's standpoint. I know I'm gonna get in trouble with everybody now. I'm gonna get in trouble with Michigan, USC, Big Ten people for the third time in 3 weeks, by the way. I want to give you a little story here. I want to give you a little story how in my mind this is crazy that Michigan is out there with USC. And I might agree with them. That's the thing. But to do it, we've got a new membership. Ryan Willie, member for 22 months. Big Ten should have given USC given USC and UCLA a lifeline. Maybe you should have never given. Okay, got it. Thank you, Ryan Willie. Thank you for becoming a member for 22 months. I appreciate it. I got to give you guys an example here. How crazy this is. Caleb Ramirez. Could it be they want to work with a certain company? Thank you for the $2 holla. Thank you for the $2 holla, Caleb. Okay, well, whatever. I mean, maybe Michigan has another idea. And maybe we're going to hear about that tonight. Maybe we're going to hear about that during this live show. So keep your head on a swivel. Let me know if there's any reports coming out, because the Big Ten presidents are meeting tonight. All the reporting has to do with USC and Michigan in their internal meetings. So when the Big Ten presidential meeting happens, let me know. And that's why we did a live show today saying tomorrow, which is today, could be the Big Ten's defining moment. Holy smokes. We got a defining moment, and it's fracture. Fracture. Let me give you an example. So, the creation of the Big Ten Men's Hockey Conference, it was a battle to create it because the University of Minnesota did not want it to happen. The University of Minnesota was making big bucks playing the Denver Pioneers, playing North Dakota, playing Colorado College, the WCHA Men's Hockey League. And by the way, Minnesota's still making big bucks. The Minnesota men's hockey program creates the most revenue out of any program out there that's not basketball or football. But their heyday is when they were in the WCHA. So Ohio State and Michigan put some pressure on Minnesota. And basically their logic was, look at what we do for this conference in football, which is 1,000 times more valuable than hockey. And Minnesota finally, they really did have to acquiesce. And they said, okay, we got to do this. Let's form the Men's Big Ten Hockey Conference. Penn State got a big donation. They went to 6 programs. So under the rules, the Big Ten could create a hockey conference because you need 6 teams. 6 full-time Big Ten members. Okay, you got 6 hockey teams. But the Big Ten wanted to expand the hockey conference. And there were talks about Illinois, but then COVID. But before that, there was talks with North Dakota. North Dakota, the University of North Dakota, and the University of Minnesota have the greatest hockey rivalry in the country, and it's not even close. Google it. I think there was just a report a couple of weeks ago. The ticket prices in their games, it's explosive. When it comes to college hockey, it's bigger than Boston College and Boston University. The ticket prices are well over that. Whatever. You can argue one or the other. My point is, the University of Minnesota used all their power, and most hockey money is in the state of Minnesota. They wanted North Dakota into the conference. They had conversations with North Dakota in 2017, 2019. I was reporting it in real time. I had an advantage. Norm Huffman, I talked about it before. He's my uncle. He just passed away, 8 months ago. He was the leading booster of North Dakota athletics. He put on the wing at North Dakota Medical Center. He built the engineering department at North Dakota. So he was giving me all the inside information. President Kennedy at the time, the president of North Dakota. Norm Huffman was a big-time booster of his political aspirations before he became president of North Dakota. The point is that Minnesota pushed mightily for North Dakota to become an affiliate member of the Big Ten's Men's Hockey Conference. North Dakota is not a Big Ten university. It's not. Not even close. Not even close. The only affiliation in the Big Ten is Johns Hopkins and Notre Dame. And at the time, Notre Dame was not AAU. But, okay, Notre Dame was brought in, Johns Hopkins lacrosse. Minnesota put all their weight behind North Dakota, but it wasn't enough. Because the University of Michigan said, hell no. We're not going to let in an affiliate member that is not a Big Ten institution for hockey. Even at that level, Michigan only wants to play against Big Ten institutions. They only want to expand with big-time, large research AAU universities. That's it. That's all they want. If Florida State gets into the Big Ten, it will be despite Michigan. They get in the conference without their vote. If Clemson gets in the Big Ten conference, you're not going to have Michigan's vote. A lot of other schools, Texas Tech, TCU, Oklahoma, you name them. If you are not a large accredited AAU university, you're not getting Michigan's vote. You might get enough votes, but you're not getting Michigan. So for Michigan to have their eye on some sort of elite Super League, along with some of the Southeastern Conference programs, that absolutely blows my mind. Or maybe that's not what this is about. Maybe Michigan is looking at the same thing as some of the ACC schools, where it's a contracted, it's a reimagined ACC, where the top 8 or 10 brands go off to their own football conference. Is that what Michigan wants to have the option to do in 2036? They have the option to take the top 8, top 10 football brands of the Big Ten to at least have that option, to at least have that exit hatch. Well, anyways, perception becomes reality. And the perception is that there are Big Ten schools eyeing other Big Ten schools and asking the question, are you really in this? Because there are Big Ten schools. Now, I'm not saying this effort's not over. I'm sure they're going to talk tonight. We might get some reporting that says that maybe they can figure out a compromise. Maybe there is a better idea out there. But there were a lot of schools in the Big Ten that said, okay, Michigan, you can make more money than us in the media rights. Okay. Michigan, you can have a larger stake in the conference. Okay. But all we need is that grant of rights to go from 2036 to 2046. Because Michigan, you're really not going to leave the Big Ten anyways, correct? I mean, you are the Big Ten school. You're not going to leave the Big Ten, right? Well, now there is paranoia. Now people are worried. Flint Dog, Greg, please stop saying it's the University of Michigan when it's the University of Michigan elected board of trustees. The same trustees always have the issues. Every time it's a big decision. I get it. When I say but I get what you're saying. I understand that. I understand, and the fact is, I get what you're saying. But then again, the leadership is talking for the University of Michigan. But I understand what you're saying. I get it. My prof, top of the Big Ten, don't want to lift up the competitiveness of the less prestigious programs. Well, Ohio State has no problem with this deal. Penn State has no problem with this deal. Oregon, Washington, there's only 2 schools or 2 leadership of 2 schools. Now, here is, I know I haven't even got to the article yet. Being a part of a Super League has nothing to do with being an AAU school. Jimmy, Michigan has never wanted to play with schools that were not large research AAU schools. They have been the most selective on that. Okay. But let me get to something here. We're going to find out here we're going to find out how big a fracture this is. And I know I've already gotten, I put down on my X account, I said Big Ten fracture. I put that in a post. I've already got DMs from Big Ten people saying, it's not a fracture, Greg. It's not a fracture. This is a fracture. The question is, how wide is it? If we get a Big Ten, there's going to be a Big Ten meeting. If a message come out of the Big Ten meeting tonight, and the 16 schools say, we're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to go ahead and do this without you, USC and Michigan. We're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to get it all reevaluated. It's not going to be worth as much. The deal's not going to be as good. It ain't. Not without Michigan and USC. But if the 16 schools actually says, yeah, we're going to do this anyways, because we believe in the Big Ten enterprises, this component, this whatever the reason is, if the Buckeyes and the Nittany Lions, if Washington and Oregon and the rest of them say, we're going to do this without you, now the fracture becomes wider. But I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I hope it doesn't happen, obviously. I hope it doesn't happen. But again, in these reports, not only is it clear that USC and Michigan leadership, the 40 Board of Trustees member of USC and the 8-member Michigan Board of Regents, not only is it clear that they are against it, it is clear that many of the Big Ten schools are for it, and it's not even close. Like, they're saying, we're never going to get this good a deal. This sets up the Big Ten enterprises. It gets fueled by this investment. We get a cash infusion. So we've got a fracture. We have got ourselves a fracture. USC has been silent, have they? Not according to the reports they have. Not according to the reports. Not according to the reports. Let's go through the report. Let me go through a super chat here. Thank you so much, Christopher Hooter. University of North Dakota Hockey, my CPA is an alum from Grand Forks. Thank you for the $2 holla, Christopher Hooter. Thank you for the $2 holla. We got another super chat. My goodness. Ryan Willie. Oh, the good old days. Wisconsin and the WCHA when Bob Johnson and Jeff Sauer were head coaches. Bob Johnson and my father were very good friends. Bob Johnson, I think he was he might have been a year younger than my father. Or maybe they're the same age. Bob Johnson and Jerry Pflugar, both played football on the Minneapolis Central team. And in 1948, the team was undefeated. So my father played right guard. And Bob Johnson was a football star, hockey star, everything star. Bob Johnson, former head coach of the Wisconsin Badgers, came from Minneapolis Central High School. Anyways, thank you for the $5 holler, Ryan Willie. I very much appreciate it. All right, let's get to the article, because a lot of people have not seen the article yet. Let's go through it. Now, a lot of this is just repeating, so we're going to go through this real quick, okay? This was a report of this afternoon. Ross Dellinger, Big Ten's capital investment deal, is in a precarious position. During a scheduled meeting on Thursday, the University of Michigan Board of Regents solidified its position in opposing the league's 20-year, $2.4 billion investment proposal. The decision was not unexpected. The board members at Michigan and USC have raised concerns over the Big Ten's potential capital agreement with the University of California's pension system fund, as reported Tuesday morning at Yahoo Sports. The pushback may impact any approval of the current structure of the capital proposal, as it requires unanimity among the 18 schools under the terms of the deal. At best, a decision is expected to be delayed in any vote tabled from the Big Ten membership, something many expected to occur this week. The Big Ten presidents and athletic directors, so keep your head on a swivel, are scheduled for a call later Thursday evening, tonight, when an update is expected, as well as a review of the latest details around the capital concept. The current terms of the proposal with UC investment requires a 10-year extension of the Big Ten grant of rights from 36 to 46. A move that commands all 18 schools to support the measure if all 18 are to be bound for 20 more years. In an unexpected marriage of two of the conference's biggest brands, Michigan and USC board members met over the weekend. Their two teams played in LA on Saturday and exchanged misgivings over the capital proposal, which not only would infuse billions in upfront payments to schools and extend the grant of rights, but would establish a for-profit business, Big Ten enterprises, and create future uneven distribution of league revenues. Well, you can forget that. We're not going to have unequal anything. That part of the deal is also smashed. It better be. It is. In fact, the USC Board of Trustees and even some of its athletic administrators are adamantly opposed to the current terms of the deal. Again, USC is not silent. They're against this deal. Those at USC are against the uneven distribution structure of both the upfront $2.4 billion in future conference revenue structure. The Trojans are behind Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State in the payouts in both uneven structures, according to those who have seen the details of the plan. Meanwhile, both Michigan and USC board members are opposed to extending the grant of rights at the time of uncertainty within the college sports space, preferring to maintain flexibility. Super League, media rights consolidation, concepts are being floated. And the move from Michigan and USC to stiff arm their 16 conference mates in the league office is certain to drive a wedge among the group of 18. There's no question about that. Big Ten fracture. We got to be honest here. I'm going to be honest. Of course there's a Big Ten fracture. Does it get sealed up quickly? Or does it grow? Does it fester? I don't know. But to say there's not a Big Ten fracture tonight, I think that is wishing upon a star. I think that is make-believe. There is definitely a Big Ten fracture tonight. Is certain to drive a wedge among the group of 18, with some now questioning the long-term commitment and intention of the two storied brands. In fact, several officials in support of the capital proposal believe the conference should continue with the concept without USC in Michigan. Now that, my friends, that, my PATC family members, that is a fracture. When you've got several officials, now we don't know how many Big Ten schools are willing to do this, but are willing to say, screw it. Let's just do the 16 and we'll extend the grant of rights. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Presumably, under this plan, league officials with approval from the investment fund would create new terms in an only extend the grant of rights and distribute capital to those 16 supporters. It's not even clear if it's possible. The absence of the two of the country's most historic athletic programs is likely to adversely impact the value of the deal, no question, especially if the two schools are not committing to the final 10 years of the agreement. The Big Ten now stands at a seminal moment in its history. Again, our live show yesterday was titled Big Ten Defining Moment. Big Ten Defining Moment. For more than 15 months, Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti and his executives have worked to amass a plan that they believe addresses the four main priorities for their membership. Number one, long-term stability, the grant of rights extension. Number two, the creation of a privatized business entity to better monetize the league assets. Number three, immediate cash at a financially stressful time. And number four, establishment of an uneven revenue distribution to keep happy the big brands. Well, it's not keeping USC happy. It's not keeping Michigan happy. In fact, USC don't think they're getting it enough. What happens now is uncertain. The conference likely has alternative financing models and contingency plans. but it is unclear if it will immediately pivot or try to adjust this UC investments deal to appease the two detractors. Since a story was published Tuesday by Yahoo Sports about USC and Michigan issues, officials from the 16 supporting schools, and this is the PATC money shot of the article, most notably Ohio State, have reached out to those at Michigan and USC in an effort to encourage them to support the measure. The lobbying effort has seemed to fail. Michigan and USC stiffed arm Ohio State. So, the question is, and we're going to find out tonight, maybe during this live show, keep your head on a swivel. Please keep your head on a swivel. Let me know if there's breaking news on that Big Ten meeting. The Buckeyes are in full support of this deal. Penn State is in full support of this deal. Rutgers, Maryland, Indiana, Purdue, Oregon, Washington, UCLA, Northwestern, Nebraska, Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, and the one that started it all in 1896, Minnesota. Is there another deal, a contingency plan that is better than this one? Or is it just the fact that these two schools do not want to extend the grant of rights from 2036 to 2046 because they want an exit hatch? This also puts into effect in the effect of further Big Ten expansion. With this paranoia, with the belief that some schools are no longer committed to the 100-year plan, there ain't going to be Big Ten expansion. Unless it's from schools, very, very doubtful on the Big Ten expansion. And even if a deal comes to pass, at this point in time, a school to get into the Big Ten is going to have to convince everybody that they're in it for the long haul. They're not looking for an exit hatch. The relationship between Ohio State and Michigan is a complicated one. They both know they are the head of the family. But they've always been on two different sides of the river. Always. But they both have been extremely committed to the Big Ten. Especially Michigan. Ohio State leaning on Michigan here since Tuesday did not work. And USC, USC. I'm not sure how USC. I'm not sure what happens with the relationship between USC and the other Big Ten schools, unless they have a better idea, a solution. But if this is all about because they're not quite getting the same cash infusion as the three top brand universities that have been great stewards of the conference, if that's what this is all about, I don't know if that this relationship, we've got serious issues. We've got serious issues. And they're sitting there with an interim president who really can't mold that person cannot. Super chat, Kenneth Maynard. Tulsa at ECU minus 16 and a half points for the Pirates. Thank you for the heads up. Blackout in the Boneyard. It's going to be a blackout. Thank you so much for the $10 holler, Mr. Maynard, Mr. Pirate. I appreciate it so very much. So very much. Thank you so very much. Let me do something real quick here. I got to check an email. I got to check an email because it came from somebody here. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. I apologize. Plus, I got to clean something up here, but hold on, everybody. Keep your head on a swivel. Thank you, Kenneth Maynard. I appreciate it. David M., you told us, Greg, that Michigan is full of elitists. Maybe Michigan wants to get into a new conference, maybe the Ivy League. Michigan has the big house. Michigan, as valuable of a research and academic university, they're just as valuable as an athletic department. There is no way on God's green earth Michigan is looking to join the Ivy League. Sorry, no disrespect to the Ivy League. I don't believe in the Ivy League is looking to be anything different than they are right now. I also don't believe in this theory that all these private schools are lining up to form a super duper private conference. There is no evidence of that either. Michigan, no. Michigan, I don't know. I mean, this is baffling. But it's not baffling that they're against the deal. It's baffling in the reporting. That's all we've got is all these consistent reports that Michigan is not really for extending the grant of rights. That is baffling. That is... The Buckeyes are willing. Of course they are. The Buckeye. Okay, I'm going to say now that I got the Big Ten people all upset with me. Now that I got the Big Ten people all upset with me. Let me get the Southeastern Conference people all upset with me. I don't know how to say this without. Ohio State has no interest in these big Michigan and Ohio. For the last 80 years, these schools want to play with large. They want to play Big Ten universities. That's what they want. Ohio State sponsors 36, 37 sports. It's not an SEC school. It's not. It's not as Southeastern. It isn't. Michigan definitely is not. They're not. And for them, for Michigan, what is their thinking here? They're not interested in a Rudy project. They wouldn't be interested in a 70. They're not interested. I don't think they're interested in this elite Super League with the top half of the Big Ten and top half of the SEC. Michigan has never been that school. So what I think it is the Big Ten of Michigan does not want to extend that grant of rights out to 2046 because maybe because they're afraid that they're going to have to create a reimagined Big Ten in 2036, where they take the top 8, 9, 10 teams in the Big Ten. The option that the ACC schools have right now, if they all pay in 50% of what they're due, like $80 million, that is part of their settlement with the ACC in the court case with Florida State and Clemson. That is my only thought with Michigan and USC. That they're not really committed to an 18 Big Ten school or 20 big. And this is the crazy part. The other crazy part is the Big Ten has been committed to the idea to expand again. They were going to expand again. They were going to go into the southeastern part of this conference. They were going to do this because of the student apocalypse. They were going to do this for demographics. They were going to do this to add new markets. They were going to add large research universities, valuable research universities in the southeast. What happened to that? Michigan was on board. Schools aren't going to join the Big Ten if they're thinking that Michigan wants out after 2036. That was never part of the equation. That was never part of the plan. Christopher Hooter, Super Chat. Why is the hesitation to this deal being characterized as being uncommitted to the Big Ten? There is a whole host of legitimate reasons to tap the brakes here. I agree. There's reasons to tap the brakes, and because I don't have the details, I'm tapping the brake until I see what the Big Ten Enterprises is all about. But having said that, we cannot ignore the fact that it has been constantly reported that these schools are not interested in extending the grant of rights. Let me look for it again here. That is one of their main concerns. They do not want to extend the grant of rights, which I never thought that Michigan would be one of the programs that would be hesitant on extending the grant of rights. Let me see if I can find that. It's been in every single report. Right here. Meanwhile, both Michigan and USC board members are opposed to extending the grant of rights at a time of uncertainty within the college sports space. There it is. They want to maintain flexibility. Flexibility for what? Because remember, this grant of rights does not, the Big Ten has way more flexibility than the Southeastern Conference, than the Big 12. Well, they're the same with the Big 12. Then the AC. The Big Ten is going to renegotiate their media contract for 2029, 2030. The Southeastern Conference don't get to do it until 2034. So when you're saying that you don't want to extend the grant of rights from 2036, why? Because it doesn't lock you in to the current media contract. To extend the grant of rights would not lock you in to the next media contract. In the Big Ten, the grant of rights and the media contract are separate. In the Big Ten, they're separate. So to be against extending the grant of rights is basically saying, I don't know if I'm that much in love with you anymore. I don't know. There might be a better option for me in 2037. And for Michigan, I mean, I can understand for Michigan to think that there's a better option than the Big Ten goes against everything that Michigan has stood for. And I get it. For those at Michigan who are watching this program, who are getting upset with me, I get that it's not the entire Michigan. Michigan has been the steward of the Big Ten. Them, the Buckeyes, the Nittany Lions since they've joined. Minnesota was that steward from 1896 to about 1960. But I get it. Eight members of the Board of Regents are called the shots on this. So they're talking for the University of Michigan. So that's why I say that. Why are they against extending the grant of rights? And by the way, it's not a private equity. It's not a private equity deal. People got to get out of this. It's not a private equity deal. You might still be against the deal, but it's not PE. This is not PE. Michigan and USC don't need the money. They don't? Really? USC joined the Big Ten because they needed the money. USC joined the Big Ten because they needed to get above the stratification line. USC is turning down, if they turn down this deal, then they might have good reason to, but they are turning down even more money because they're going to get a larger stake, larger media. They're going to get a larger tier of the media payouts. But they want that flexibility in 2036. Michigan has way more research grant money that comes in than football. Same with USC. Well, so does Minnesota. So does Northwestern. So does Wisconsin. So does Washington. So does Rutgers. I mean, and I've said this before. I have said this before. Because I see people taking shots at Northwestern. I see people taking shot at Northwestern's 35,000 seat stadium, which is going to be gorgeous. Most Big Ten universities have received more from being a conference mate of Northwestern than they have given to Northwestern. Let me repeat that. Most Big Ten universities have had the benefit of being a conference mate with Northwestern more than Northwestern have been given the benefits of being a conference mate with them, because of Northwestern's ability to collaborate with everybody on research. So Northwestern is worth a gigantic amount of money. There is money coming. Yeah, so when people get so obsessed with viewership numbers and how big the stadium is, Northwestern, sorry guys. If Northwestern, let's say if the Big Ten imploded, let's say the Big Ten erupted tonight, it's all in pieces, and the grant of rights is done and ripped up, and there's a coup attempt in Rosemont, Illinois, the Big 12 would pick up Northwestern in a nanosecond. So I don't, you guys, not a private equity deal. It's not even a private equity firm. They would be a passive investor. Private equity firms are not passive. Okay. Jansen Roberts, thank you for becoming a member for 1 month. I appreciate it, Jansen Robert. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you so very much, Jansen Roberts. You are hereby knighted, cloak and dagger. Cloak and dagger. Jose, Michigan came to LA Saturday and scared the living crap out of USC. Oh, God. All right, we're going to open up the phone lines here. We are waiting for any breaking news. Let me know. I keep checking the messages. I'm sorry, I'm way behind. A lot of college football reporters are having one of their greatest nights tonight. Let's see here. Okay, I don't see anything else. Let me get to a couple big stories. There are big stories all over the place. Before we get to your phone calls. Report, North Carolina General Manager Mike Lombardi took a fundraising trip to Saudi Arabia 2 weeks before the season opener. I got about a couple stories here. And then we'll get into your phone calls and your super chats. MBM, research dollars and stadium seat size are not mutually exclusive. We can disparage their stadium. You can, MBM. You can rip on how big it is. But it's going to be beautiful. And it's going to bring in a lot of money. And one more thing, it's debt-free. It's debt-free. So it's all positive. It's all positive money going to Northwestern on that stadium. And their valuation is going to be, it's going to go sky high once that stadium is up and running. North Carolina General Manager Mike Lombardi took the fundraising trip to Saudi Arabia 2 weeks before the season opener. On Thursday, Pablo Torre reported multiple sources have told him North Carolina General Manager Michael Lombardi left the team in August to seek fundraising in Saudi Arabia. Torre said he will provide further details on the development Friday on his show. So what does that mean? What does that mean? What is going on there? Is this a typical, not a typical, is Michael Lombardi going to Saudi Arabia to find an investor for the entire North Carolina football program, North Carolina athletic department, or is this the case of Mike Lombardi going to Saudi Arabia to see if he can get a name, image, and likeness deal? Name, image, and likeness type of deal. We're going to know more tomorrow. Pablo Torre, Friday show. We're going to cover it tomorrow on our program. Remember, back in September 2024, updated October 10th, 2024, Christopher Kamrani and David Ubin, the athletic ex-Colorado staffer, pitched to Saudi Arabia for a $10 million name, image, and likeness pipeline. It did not work out. A former member of the Colorado football staff took a trip without the team's knowledge to Saudi Arabia in December in hopes of striking a $10 million deal between the country's tourism arm and the collective that raises the name, image, and likeness funds for the university athletics. Documents obtained through open records request the athletic, as well as interviews with the staffer, Trevor Riley, and statements from the school and its collective showed that Riley financed a trip to the Middle East in December by himself before eventually resigning in frustration August 1st from his role as the special teams analyst for Deion Sanders. So again, is this what Mike Lombardi is looking at? And name, image, and likeness deal with Saudi Arabia? Or is it something bigger than that? Remember, here at Peek Around the Corner, we've been pretty aggressive in reporting to you all, giving you the peek that North Carolina is very in favor of third-party money coming into their athletic department. They have been big-time proponents of third-party money coming in here. Remember, when we first reported the invasion of private equity, there were two people on the stage, late 2024, North Carolina and the Big 12. The year of Bubba. And now we got reports that UNC, the general manager, Mike Lombardi, the general manager of the football program, went to Saudi Arabia. We are going to learn more tomorrow and see what is going on there. Nicole Auerbach reports new contracts for Indiana football coach Kirk Cignetti. He'll make $11.6 million per year. Contract runs to 2033. 2033. Indiana Athletic Director Scott Dolson. We are committed to investing in Indiana football in such a way that we can compete at a championship level. And the number one priority in doing that is ensuring that Coach Cignetti is the leader of our program. So congratulations to the Indiana Hoosier football program, Indiana Hoosier fans. Congratulations to Cignetti. And again, here at Peek Around the Corner, our hot board list, we had Kirk Cignetti at number 3 on the Penn State hot board list. And we had him at number 3 because we didn't know how interested he was going to be in that job. We still got number 1, Matt Rule, number 2, Eli Drinkwitz. So that hasn't changed. But Kirk Cignetti is not going to be no longer number 3 on our list for obvious reasons. Kirk Cignetti has signed an extension. With Indiana. Big news for Indiana. Big news. We got ourselves another super chat. The great OBD Don. I think we need to hire Magnum PI with a C between those letters so we can find out why everyone is still saying PE. Yeah, I think you're right, Opie, and I don't know why people keep calling it private equity. Even the Big Ten commissioner said today, he says it's not private equity. It's not private equity. But whatever. It's third-party money, and it is sort of like a credit line, like a loan. So there is, there is a risk element to it. There is risk to it. So in that way, people are correct. But OPD Don, thank you for the $10 holla. I appreciate your generosity. I appreciate your support so very much. Thank you, Opie. Thank you, Opie. Ricky Tungate, super chat. Absolutely. Mr. Hoosier. It's a very, very good night for Ricky Tungate. $5 holla. Coach Sig has signed until 2033. Coach Signetti. Big news for Indiana. I'm sure all the Hoosier fans tonight are going to be celebrating, having an old drink, a glass of wine, a glass of beer, a glass of Diet Coke. Ricky Tungate, congratulations, Mr. Hoosier. Thank you for your generosity. I very much appreciate it. Okay, now we're going to get to your phone lines. Now you can tell me, Greg, this is not a fracture. Greg, everything's going to be okay. And it very well may be. Still doesn't mean that there's not a current fracture. Greg, you're gaslighting us. Greg, Michigan and USC is saving the conference. Maybe they are. Let me know what the phone calls. The phone lines are now open.
Call from.
I did not get a name. Who's calling?
Christopher Hooter. It's our daily chat.
Christopher Hooter, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling. I do appreciate it, sir.
Okay, I have a couple more follow-ups. So the UC investments, so they're going to be, so they're going to have 10% of this hypothetical deal, but they're passive. Does that mean they're non-voting?
They're going to have a board member on the Big Ten Enterprises.
Yes.
But supposedly there's going to be at least 10 board members. There could be 20 board members. We do not know. But the reporting is there's at least 10 board members. They are a passive investor. Everything that they invest in, they're passive investors.
Does that mean they're not voting? They're not a voting member?
Well, maybe they do have a vote. I don't know. We don't know. We don't really know what the Big Ten Enterprises, we don't know what it consists of. We do know that they're going to be one board member. That's in the report.
With 10% share. So maybe a bigger vote than everybody else. Maybe.
Could be. Don't know.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, so I've been on boards. I've done this trust. I've done all this stuff. Okay. Mm-hmm. If you don't have, say, so Michigan and USC don't have. There's just a stand-in chancellor or whatever, right? A temporary guy.
Yeah.
If you don't have someone in charge there that can sell it, these board of trustee members have fiduciary responsibility to the school. And if this deal goes south, 18 months from now, well, I told you that was a stupid deal, right? And I mean, before you know it, it's a big fight. So just not having a president or chancellor is a big deal. And it could be a liability big deal for fiduciary responsibility. So I kind of throw that out there because that could, the Board of Regent trustee personally could own it, right? You don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, back to UC Investments. So UC Investments has fiduciary responsibility to UC pensions. So I don't see how they could be passive. They have to represent the interests of University of California pensions. So I'm kind of skeptical that they're passive. So it would be difficult for me to believe that they're going to give $2+ billion and just kind of sit back and watch. I doubt that happens.
Okay. I don't, again, that's been consistent in all the reporting, and that's been reported on all their other deals. That the guy that's in charge, they have doubled their portfolio from $100 billion to $200 billion. So he thinks probably the Big Ten's a really good investment, and it's probably undervalued, and the Southeastern Conference most definitely is. And so,
well, if it's passive, if it really, then it's kind of like a loan, kind of,
yep,
right?
Yep.
You're blurring the lines.
It's like
right?
a bridge loan, sort of. Yep.
Right.
But again, I think one, and I could be wrong here, but one of the people who are supporting this would argue part of this funding is to be the engine of the Big Ten enterprises. The Big Ten enterprises is the board members. They consist of the for-profit Big Ten enterprises. And the Big Ten enterprises are going to be able to do, I don't know, they're going to be able to negotiate all of the conferences, this or that. They're going to be able to do a better job of media negotiations, whatever, and who knows? Maybe they become some sort of. They're a for-profit, so maybe they become an investor, and we don't know. We just don't know enough about the Big Ten enterprises, but the investment fund money would be the financial. It's what pays for the Big Ten enterprises. So you can do the. Correct. Excuse me. One more thing. You can do the big, like Tony Petitti says. If they don't do the investment fund, they still might do the Big Ten enterprises. But that means the funding of the Big Ten enterprises is going to have to come directly from the schools. But anyways, Go ahead.
Yeah, but doesn't each conference already have a guy that's kind of director of media relations or something? I mean, isn't there already a guy for that?
Well, the Big Ten really, sure, they do. It's usually the commissioner, but
he doesn't have a deputy kind of stick handle it for him.
Well, but the Big Ten is sort of directed by the by the Fox. Fox has been doing really the negotiations for the conference. Fox is the one that took the bids from CBS and NBC and Amazon to figure out who else was going to be the other partners, along with the commission of the president.
Fascinating, and you're right. We probably don't have enough information.
Yeah, we don't.
I don't think you can. If you can't, maybe they can just muscle USC and Michigan. Look, this is what we're doing. Just click your heels and say yes. And they might do that, right?
Doesn't look like that's happening. No.
well, I don't know how you do it with just 16 members.
Yeah.
I think that would be very complicated.
I would not like that move. No.
Right. So anyway, all right. Those are just my thoughts. I just wanted to check in.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Yes, sir. Go Tigers. Talk to you. Yeah. Bye.
Whoops. Great call. Where was that? Okay, hold on.
From
Rick, thanks for calling. Can you hold for just a moment, please?
You bet.
Jose, University of Michigan Regent Mark Bernstein calls the Big Ten private capital proposal a bailout and the Big Ten's inability to consider other options reckless and short-sighted. Okay, I got two thoughts on this. I got two thoughts on this statement from Mark Bernstein. Number one, he calls it a bailout. And look, there may be some truth to that. Okay? That I can buy that. Number two, the Big Ten's inability to consider other options reckless and short-sighted. That's ridiculous. I mean, I don't care how... the Big Ten has been talking about this for months. And they've had all these deals. And they've all been presented. My God, Mark Bernstein, I don't know who you are. But that is absolutely... I'm trying to be kind. Obviously, the Big Ten has considered other options. This guy, again, I'm as Flint Dog said earlier, you know, I'm trying to be kind, but the University of Minnesota has had some Board of Regents members that have been so like this that it's scary. Flint Dog asks Regent Acker if this means that the Big Ten PE deal is done. Well, according to some media reports, they're talking about doing it without us, but good luck selling an equity deal without Michigan and USC. I don't think they can do it. But I will say this, regardless of anything else, the relationships within the Big Ten tonight is not what they were a month ago, a year ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. And that probably is the most important part of this story. People are looking at Michigan a little differently tonight. People are looking at USC and thinking, do we even know you? That might be unfair, but that's the perception. Rick, thank you for your patience. The floor is yours.
I think I would like to see the 16 teams go forward with the deal and leave Michigan and USC out.
Oof.
And then I'd love to see Big Ten enterprises make a boatload of money and laugh all the way to the bank
That's
as the Trojans and the Wolverines look on.
That's jeez. Rick, you're really, Rick, you're trying to, we've already got a Big Ten fracture in the conference. And now you're trying to fracture the college football, most unpopular national college football YouTube channel in the country. By the way, that's a brilliant, it's a brilliant phone call of yours. It's absolutely brilliant. Continue on, sir.
You want to blame good old Rick? I'm not the one putting up it's the Trojans and the Wolverines that are putting up the opposition. I'm trying to tell them to get on the train.
I know, but you are Rick, and you've got a canister of gasoline, and you're pouring it on the fire right now. Look, Rick, I think you brought up just an unbelievable comment, and that is there are so many people convinced that this is something they've got to do. They've got to do it for more than one reason, and there are people that are willing to do this without USC and Michigan. And now you got a Michigan Board of Regents saying basically bring it on, do it without us. And what if it's successful? Just like the Big Ten Network and other. What if it's successful and Michigan and USC are not in the game? I don't know, man.
I would even add more to that. Because they're still in the Big Ten and playing along until 36, or at least until 30.
Yeah.
They're playing along until 30. They're contributing to Ten enterprises growth without getting paid.
Indirectly, yes.
Indirectly.
Yeah.
Every game they play against anybody except themselves, Michigan, USC, Michigan, any game they play against a Big Ten team is making Big Ten enterprises bigger, better, and more profitable. And you're getting nothing for it.
Yeah.
I say
Rick.
And
Yeah,
wait a
go
minute.
ahead.
Wait, there's more. There's more. I also think they can go back to the UC board and tell them, remember the 2.4? Get rid of the 0.4. 2.0 for the 16 of us.
Yeah, it's going to be worth a lot less, though, because Michigan and USC are, they're incredibly valuable. I don't know if USC investments would even be willing to talk about. I don't know. I don't know.
SC isn't that valuable because they're not getting a big boy share. So
Well,
they're
they
not
are,
that valuable.
but they're just not getting the biggest boy share. They're getting the second biggest boy share.
That's right, but who isn't getting a big boy share? Michigan. And who isn't getting a second big boy share? The Trojans. So where's that extra money going to go? Everybody else. Mm-hmm. I say put the hammer down on them. Have a great day, Greg.
And here's the thing.
I'm with you.
We got this Big Ten meeting tonight. And what if that's the message that comes out of here? What if the 16 are like, all right, we're going to do it without you? My God, the drama that would cause would be, and again, the Buckeyes are not only for this deal, but they lean on Michigan since Tuesday, according to reports today.
Well, if I was the Buckeyes, I'd say, hey, Michigan, we've owned you for years. Now we're really going to own you.
I don't know.
Sign up. Don't let the door hit you.
All right, man. I appreciate the call. Brilliant call.
Yep.
Brilliant. Amazing Blue. Great call. Amazing Blue. Greg, there are 3 sitting regents that have always been very difficult and more focused on political power and insanely slow to move forward with on time. I get you, brother. I'm shocked that the University of, if the University of Minnesota, well, the University of Minnesota wants the board, they want, obviously they want to extend the grant of rights and they need the cash infusion, But if the University of Minnesota had money like Michigan had money, the University of Minnesota Board of Regents would probably be in the same. They're cut from the same. I get it. There have been Board of Regents at the University of Minnesota that are against everything when it comes to sports. In fact, there is one guy on Twitter who has become a folk hero for many people outside the Big Ten because his last name is like HSU, something like that. The 3 letters, HSU. I don't know how to pronounce it. But he was famous for being against everything when it comes to University of Minnesota athletics. And it was a political power move. So I get it. Unfortunately, though, they're talking for the university right now. Unfortunately. Oh, man. Great call. Great call. The phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. You can't fracture PATC. It's rock solid, full of geniuses and fools. This is why the Big Ten is skeptical about adding Pacific Northwest teams. The bigger the conference, the harder it is to keep it together. Yeah, wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something if those 16 schools actually... Now, it would take a while, though. They would have to do a new... It would take a while.
Call from
Numbskull News.
Numbskull News, the floor is yours. TCU Baylor. What's going to happen, sir?
Well, TCU is going to get right, obviously.
There you go.
Against the world's worst defense, they're going to get right.
There you go. I wish I could say the same thing for my beloved Gophers tomorrow night against Nebraska. We're not going to get right. But go ahead, sir. The floor is yours.
Oh, you could get right. Their coach is I don't believe in that guy. Anyway.
Yeah, we can't block. We can't block. We can't block. If you can't block, you can't play football. Go ahead, sir.
Well, I just got to tell you, I feel horrible for the Big Ten. I feel horrible that there's a civil war brewing in the world's richest conference. I feel so bad
for
all of these elitist turds. What?
Can I ask you a question before you go on?
Go ahead.
When the Big Ten implodes, first of all, can the University of Minnesota get a Big 12 invite? And number two, if the answer is yes from the commissioner, Numbskull News, who would be, can we get like a permanent rival with somebody in the Big 12? And who would that be? Commissioner Numbskull News.
Absolutely. Hope you like playing Iowa State. Iowa State.
Iowa State, there you go. We have a history with Iowa State. Yeah, that'd be all right. That'd be all right because Iowa's going to be with the elite Super League with the Big Ten and SEC schools. All right, Numbskull News, lay it on us. I apologize that I interrupted. Go ahead, sir.
Well, one thing, I would take Northwestern. That way we can corner the market on all the damn Wildcat teams.
Yeah, Arizona. Yeah, Kansas State. Yeah, got it.
But I believe the last caller was kind of leaning to where I'm leaning. If I'm those 16 loyal Big Ten teams, I think I'm just going to go at it by ourselves.
Wow.
You can still make money. You can still make money off of USC and Michigan till 2036. And if they have a nefarious reason for not wanting to extend the grant of rights, let's say Super League kind of crap, well, you're not going to get a Super League without Ohio State, without Nebraska, Oregon, and Washington, and Penn State. It's not going to happen. You need brands like that to maximize the profits of a Super League. Without them, it doesn't work. So basically, all the other 16 teams, go ahead and sign up for a grant of rights till 2046 and say, you know what, kiss our butt. We're all going to go ahead and sign it with or without a private equity or investment, UC investment or anything else. We're all going to commit to each other. And then we're going to go back to UC investments. We're going to redo this deal because basically you have to take out 10 years of USC and Michigan.
Yeah, at the back half.
So we'll take that lesser amount. We're going to form the Big Ten Enterprises, and guess who doesn't have a seat in Big Ten Enterprises? That would be anyone from Michigan or anyone from USC, since you don't want to play ball. That's how you work that.
Wow.
And if you're Northwestern, like you said, the research from there is insane. Do you really want to piss them off? Because they can make life a little difficult for you.
Yes.
I'm sure Purdue can make your life a little difficult for you.
Yes.
There's some insane high-level people. We all know this about the Big Ten. So if you want to be little renegades, that's fine. But the first thing I would do
in that meeting is those 16 schools say, you know what, we're going to stand together. We're going to go ahead and extend our grant of rights to this conference. If you don't want to play along, don't.
Here I am. I'm trying to cool everybody down. Rick comes in and pours gasoline, and now Numbskull News is lighting the match. Unbelievable. But
Hey.
Yeah.
I'm a Big 12 fan.
Yeah,
all right. We were on the verge of a private equity deal.
Yeah.
And now we don't know the schools that said no, but we're all pretty sure they're in Utah and probably in the state of Kansas somewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, the way I feel about it as a Big 12 fan, they are all eminently replaceable, Greg.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, Michigan and USC are replaceable. I am also going to be on the phone with Florida State, with Clemson, with Miami, and I'm still going to try to money whip the crap out of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, but Michigan doesn't rule the world. They may think they do, but as far as I'm concerned, Ohio State's kind of a big freaking deal.
Yeah. But and here's the thing. As you know, and we both talked about it, one of the problems is not a problem, but it's just a reality. There's this third-party money out there that wants in because they believe all college sports is undervalued. And I don't care if you call it, some parts of it's private equity, some is private capital, blah, 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 call it whatever. But there's this big third-party money that wants to come in. And Numbskull News, as you know, there are some schools in the Big 12 are firm believers in bringing this money in and the expertise and getting this relationship and whatever. And there are schools that are not firm believers. Same thing in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Same thing in the ACC. So we have these conferences, these large conferences, with this new element that has come into the college sports space. Third-party money, third-party investment, and we've got this cross-pollination among these conferences. There are partners, there are believers in this, and there are some in the Big 12, some in the Big 10, some in the ACC, some in the SEC, and there are patches where there are non-believers in all these conferences. So we do have fractures all over the place, but tonight is the Big 10. It's all playing out in front of us. But you're correct, sir. You're absolutely correct.
Well, unlike the Big 12, the Big 10, with those, like I said, 16 loyal schools, that's still incredibly valuable. So you could do business with those 16. With the Big 12, with a handful of schools saying, "Nah, we're not good," the Big 12 does not have any recourse as far as a private equity or a private capital investment. There's not enough value. The value is with the whole of our 16. If you lose one, you're going to lose whatever deal that could be possible.
Mm-hmm.
It's not true for the Big 10. Like I said, the key because of that is Ohio State and Penn State. That's just a crap ton of value. Then you add everybody else, the other members of that 16, that loyal 16. You have way more options than the Big 12 does.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was them, I'm going to keep pursuing it, unless you want to fall victim to, like you said, third party. Because this UC investment thing is perfect for the Big 10. They're not going to interfere in the way you run the conference. They're not going to interfere in media negotiations. They'll have a seat on a board just because they have to have information to tell their investors.
Yeah.
They have to go back to the pension fund and let them know that their money is safe and that it's growing and it's making money. That's it. They're just there to collect the information.
Well, maybe if this deal doesn't happen, maybe UC Investment gives Brett Yormark a call. Right?
Maybe they give the SEC a call.
Yeah, if they think we're all undervalued, maybe they already have. Maybe they already talked to the Big 12. We don't know.
And here's the crazy thing. I'm more interested if they call the SEC, because I'm wondering if the exact same thing wouldn't happen, where most of the SEC would be on board because they want to stick together. But maybe Texas, maybe Oklahoma, maybe Georgia, who knows, says, nah, we don't want to extend our grant of rights either. That's when you're going to really, when the fit is going to hit the shan, so to speak.
Then we're going to
so
know.
We're seeing it with the big, we've seen it with the Big 12. We've seen it, now we're seeing it with the Big 10.
Yeah.
We're going to see, I have a feeling we're going to see the same thing with the SEC, because some of these people are more interested in money than the traditions that they have and the money that they're making.
Yeah. Alrighty, Numbskull News. I'm going to let you go because the phone is ringing off the hook. I appreciate your phone call, my friend.
All right. Well, God bless
tonight.
the Big Ten. I hope everyone's okay out there.
Yeah.
Hope that big earthquake doesn't swallow you up.
I feel your compassion. I feel your empathy. I feel it all the way from here, from Minnesota here, Numbskull News. Thank you so very much. No
problem. I'll dust off those rosaries and say a few Hail Marys for you folks up there.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Call from
Flint Rock Inspection Service.
Who's on the line?
Flint Dog 8208, sir.
Flint Dog, thanks for calling. Can you hold on 1 second, Mr. Wolverine?
Sure, yes, sir.
One second. We've got a super chat. OBD Don. I'm all for Rick and Numbskull News on back-to-back calls like Moen and Immaculate used to be. I would agree. Rick and Numbskull News. One guy threw the gasoline down, the other guy lit the match. But you know what? They're either on something or they're on to something. And I don't know which one. I want cooler heads to prevail. But Rick and Numbskull News, very interesting phone call. This is why we have phone calls. Because I can't think of these things. I mean, you guys are so creative and intelligent, and you guys blow me away, actually. And we've got another guy that's going to blow us away. The Mr. Michigan Wolverine himself, Flint Dog, is on the line. Go ahead, sir. The floor is absolutely yours.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Sir, I agree. I'll take the 16 and take the deal. I would. Because the reason why I say this, it's the same politicians that always gum up the works. Any decision when it comes to Michigan, the University of Michigan, it's the same dudes. Never fails.
Yeah.
This was not surprising, sir. They always do it. They're elected officials, and they're trying to score political points. Period.
I'm 100% in agreement. I know what you're saying. I'm trying to be kind with it all, but yes, that's what this is about. But go ahead, sir. Yes.
It's politics. I mean, you can say it. It's cool.
Yeah.
I'm a lifelong born and bred Flint, Michigan. I'm a Wolverine.
Yep.
And I agree with Ohio State. Just this once. I hate them just like it ain't nothing. But this one time, I'll take that deal. Because, okay, if you look at history, MLB was MLB, the league itself. But then they made MLB Enterprises, and they made the TV network.
Yeah.
And they sold part of that TV network or the technology to ESPN and made a whole lot of money off of it.
Yeah.
So this and who was in MLB at the time? Tony Petitti.
Yes, sir.
He know exactly what he's doing. And this is the last thing, and I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah.
The hang-ups, it could be, okay, these politicians are hanging things up. And USC got the 40 members. The Ellison family, Paramount. The two children went to school there. The dad went to Illinois, and his wife went to the University of Michigan.
Okay.
I'll put money on it that they're holding up this deal because they feel like the political cushion or the contributions can hold up the deal. I think it's a part of this Apollo deal that they wouldn't pick. They have, and Mr. Ellison, he's the largest. He's one of the biggest contributors to the U of M.
Oh.
And his children are contributors to USC. So I'll hang up, but I'm all for the deal.
Beautiful call, Flint Dog. Please call again, sir. Please.
Sir, yes, sir.
Thank
you very
man.
much.
Thank you, sir. Beautiful call, man. These are legendary calls we're getting. Legendary calls. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Legendary calls. Thank you, Flint Dog. I appreciate it. Thank you, Opie. Thank you, Opie.
Call from
Amazing Blue.
Amazing Blue. We got another Michigan Wolverine. Holy smokes. Sir, the floor is absolutely yours. Go ahead.
Hey, what's going on, Greg?
A lot.
So just to piggyback off of Mr. Flint, a lot of people don't seem to understand just how rigid the Board of Regents are for the University of Michigan. They've run off two presidents, obviously the last one being Ono, and they ran him off because of the protests that were going on, around that time.
Yeah.
I won't go into the political elements of it, but they ran him off because they disagreed with him standing up, and walking with his students.
And by the way, President Ono was the chair of this effort that the Big Ten's trying to do. So
Yep.
yeah.
And
So go ahead, sir.
And they also, before the scandal and all this other stuff, Jim Harbaugh was constantly fighting with them because they were very slow to do NIL, even when it was approved. It is very politically backed, like Flint was saying. They are very difficult, and I do agree because there's things that I've heard that it is a connection with the fact that they didn't get the Apollo, one with gosh, I just forgot his name. But because they didn't agree with that, yes, thank you. And so because of that, it also they're slow playing this. So they're going to make it difficult just because. And the Regents there have always been very politically driven, and it made life difficult for a lot of programs for the university. Made ADs always struggle. It's so when people want to say it's the University of Michigan, granted the board represents it, but they're not always eye to eye.
Yeah. No, like I say, Minnesota has always been the in the faction with Wisconsin and Michigan. Minnesota follows the lead of Wisconsin and Michigan because we're cut from the same cloth.
Right.
We have the same border, same type of political, same type of academic culture and research and all that, and I get it. I understand what you're saying. It's amazing. It just shows how incredible the fan base of Michigan is. Like the brand, the fan base, over 100 years of support at Ann Arbor, and everywhere in the state of Michigan. For that university to have that dynamic and powerful of athletic department, along with it being an incredible academic and research school, to be able to achieve that when you've got, and again, I said at the beginning of the show, here's Michigan, who is against the addition of North Dakota as a hockey affiliation because they're not a Big Ten university. But yet Michigan wants to keep their options open for beyond 2036 with the grant of rights. Woo! That only can happen because you've got, I'm going to go ahead and call them, you got some radicals on the Board of Regents, basically.
Yeah, they're interesting. I could go into a long detail about the three that I was talking about, but I'll leave it alone. But they are very interesting, to say the least, and they make things very difficult.
Yeah, I appreciate it, sir.
Oh, thank you. Hey, and just so you know, long-time subscriber. I've been a part of your PATC family since episode 5.
Beautiful.
So I've been around a long time.
I know you have. Amazing Blue, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it so very much. I'm very, very humbled that you be a part of this program. And again, you know, I should say I have the ability to get everybody upset with me at least a couple of times a month. So I appreciate longtime people like you who somehow are able to get over my horrific takes and my horrible singing and everything else. So I appreciate it, sir. And I appreciate you be able to.
Maybe we'll do a duet someday, sir.
Yeah, but that'd be all right. And I appreciate you're able to digest my Golden Gopher propaganda.
Well, when you're a Michigan fan, you get a lot of hate from all the other schools in the Big Ten. You're pretty light, so it's okay.
All right, that's the first time anyone's called me light. But thank you, sir. All right.
You know what? Put it like this: I'm a big Blue fan living in the great state of Ohio. You know.
Ooh, jeez, you live dangerously. All right, sir.
All right, thank you.
You got it. Appreciate it. Beautiful call.
Thank you.
Call from
Fred.
Fred is on the line. Fred, thanks for calling, sir. I appreciate it. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Greg. Any chance that Rick and Numbskull are starting to sell tickets to the train they started today?
Yeah. What do you think of their? What do you think of their? What do you think that's a real option, Fred? That the other 16 schools are such a believer in this thing called the Big Ten Enterprises that they want to go back to UC Investment and say, "Can you give us a deal on 16 teams?" Do you think that's even an option?
I have no idea, but I think I'd wish they probably wouldn't, because I don't think we'd like the ending to that.
Yeah.
I can appreciate, frustration and saying, well, forget you, we're going ahead. But part of what you mentioned all along was the importance of relationships.
Yeah.
And you can vote no to something we would want, but how you respond still tells us something about the relationship. And we're wondering if we have a different relationship with those two schools now. So if they vote no and then just walk out, that's one kind of relationship. If they vote no, but they say, we think there's better options, and, we appreciate this is important to all the member teams in the conference. So in maybe 4 or 5 months, we're going to come and present to the full board, what we think is a better option. That's a different kind of a relationship where they appreciate the importance of it. We just can't agree with this particular one. So if they're saying there are better options, let's hear them.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
It's so easy to say there's better and then walk away, and you don't know and right now, as you were saying, we're not quite sure what we got if they can't go past 2036.
Yeah. I mean, if there's a better, and for the Board of Regents guy to come out and say it's reckless that the Big Ten, they haven't looked at other ideas, well, we know that's false. So
I hope they have somebody more diplomatic on that board who's the spokesperson that would try and not be so incendiary in what they say.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. I'll be honest with you. I said, no, I hope they don't do that. But if they come out tomorrow and they did, I'd be all excited about it.
Yeah. Well, it would be something, wouldn't it? But if they did that, I think that would take a while for it to materialize. Right?
It would.
Yeah.
It really would. It's almost like you're gonna pursue it, but you're still gonna leave the door open for the
Sure.
other two to come in
Sure.
up to a point, and then move on. So
Sure.
I just, like I say, they can say no. We disagree sometimes, and this is a big issue to say no on, but it's what they do after they say no that will give us a clue as to, should we be worried long term.
Yeah. What an interesting night.
Oh, well. Okay, Greg, thank you.
You
Take
got it,
care.
Fred. Call again, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you so
You
very
bet.
much.
Bye-bye.
Super chat. I'll get to in a second.
Call from
Tristan 5.
Tristan 5, can you hold up for just one moment, please?
Yes, I can.
I very much appreciate it. Mayor McCheese, just cause. Thank you, Mayor McCheese. Ryan Thomas for the $10 holler. I thank you for your support and for your friendship. Thank you so very much, sir. Tristan 5, go ahead, sir. The floor is yours. I'm very interested to see what you have to say here.
Thanks, Greg. Well, I don't want to disappoint anyone by sounding like I know more than I do. I really don't. But what I see here, did you look at that tweet from Ross Dellinger, or that X post that he created, where he said he said Michigan regents are rejecting the Big Ten's capital deal, locking arms with USC officials to put in peril the 20-year, $2.4 billion proposal from a capital partner, and leave other big schools questioning their long-term intentions. Did you see that?
Yeah, and we read, that was in the article that we read. Yep.
So I just, Greg, I'm just going to tell you right now, to me, that just sounds like propaganda. Questioning their long-term intentions. There's no evidence to me, and maybe I'm not up to speed on the issue as everyone else is. I see no evidence to question their intentions. They're making it sound like they want to bolt the conference or something.
Well, the only evidence that we have, if the reporting is accurate, and ESPN has said the same thing as Yahoo Sports, where they do not want to extend the grant of rights. And if you don't want to extend the grant of rights, the perception becomes reality. People are going to be like, what is the risk of extending the grant of rights if you are totally committed to the conference beyond 2036? Because the grant of rights in the Big Ten is not connected to the ability to negotiate a new media contract. Those are two separate documents. It's not like the ACC, where the grant of rights and the media rights are connected all the way to 2036. So what is the reason that you don't want to extend the grant of rights? Because that is part of the reporting of why they're against the deal. Now, if that's not accurate, then then maybe they don't have a commitment problem. But if it is accurate, why is it accurate?
Well, that's a fair question. But in my opinion, and I was looking at the title of this episode, right? You used the term fracture, and I'm guessing that came from, Big Ten fracture. Did that come from someone else? Did someone else use that term, Greg?
That came from me. I went through at the beginning of the program. I know people were going to have a hard time with that title. And I'm not saying that fracture cannot be sealed up, but I'm not saying that fracture cannot widen. But I do think there's a fracture here because when you've got, Tristan, if the reporting is accurate, that's all we can go by, where there are schools that are saying, well, we want to do this anyways because it's such a great deal. We're going to pursue this. That's a fracture. That is a fracture, in my opinion. But go ahead. It's okay if you disagree.
Well, my concern with that term is that when I saw it, and I do admit I didn't catch your program until like 15 minutes
That's
after
fine.
it started, but my concern is it's suggesting that something's broken, and I don't know that anything's broken. This is a disagreement, and I just don't like the suggestion that something's broken. That's all.
Okay.
It's a disagreement. They got to resolve their differences. They're going to have to come up with a game plan. And to be honest with you, the private equity, there's not really a compelling need for it until and unless the SEC does it first, right? They're basically neck and neck in revenue, Greg. There might be some little differences between them, but it's the P2, right? If the SEC doesn't do private equity, I don't see a need for the Big Ten to do it either. Now, I know you've reported on this, and there's other reasons why you want to do private equity, expand your markets and so forth. I understand that there's reasons to do it. But this particular deal, as we've already discussed, does not accomplish any of those goals. This is strictly the money angle.
No, I don't think. First of all, two things. I don't think it's just about the money. I think it's about the money. It's about unequal revenue sharing. It's about extending the grant of rights, and most importantly, it's about the creation of Big Ten enterprises. And there are firm believers in this Big Ten enterprises, which we do not have much information on. So I think it's much more than cash infusion. And number two, I do think the Big Ten schools need the cash infusion, most of them more than the Southeastern Conference schools, because they sponsor more. Their expenses are higher than the Southeastern Conference. They have more sponsored sports. They have way more non-revenue sports, and they do not want to cut back. They don't want to cut this stuff. And so there are motivations. But go ahead, sir.
Okay. Well, I mean, this is you're helping me to understand more of what's going on here. I just feel like the Big Ten is even with this disagreement, the conference is still in good shape, and nothing's been finalized. And so I say let's just wait and see how it turns out. And at the end of the day, when this is all said and done, and some private equity deals do get signed, people might circle back around to this and say, hey, we're happy that Michigan held out here and that USC held out here.
Okay.
There might be some better deals out there. Okay.
Well, if there is, it's time to spill them because they've been going through these for months. They've had all these presentations. They've had these private equity firms present these deals. And again, this is not a private equity deal. It's not a private equity deal from a private equity firm. It's a public capital deal. So if there is a better deal, if it's obvious, then Michigan and USC should tell in that Big Ten presidential meeting that is probably going on right now, they better spill the beans on what this better deal is because they've been working on this for months.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, there you go, Greg. I started off my call saying I probably know less than everyone else, and so here you are kind of demonstrating
you're
that.
a brilliant call. I appreciate it.
Hey, listen, getting back to some college football here,
Yeah.
okay? I told you that Alabama was going to beat Missouri. I even gave you a score. Do you remember what it was? 27-20.
Huh?
I predicted 27-20.
Ah, got it.
I was off by 4 points.
Yeah, you did good.
But Greg, is there any doubt now that Alabama is playing the best football in the SEC?
No, there isn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to build on that statement. I don't think Alabama, if they played today, could beat Ohio State or Miami. This further underscores what I've been saying. The SEC is down this year even more than they were last year. I'm going to stick by that. Greg, you realize that in the past 2 seasons, the SEC has not even placed a team into the championship game.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been unthinkable, but here we are. We're looking at a 3rd year where that's going to happen. I think there's a really good chance, like a greater than 50% chance, that that's going to happen this year, that the 2 teams in the championship game will not be an SEC team.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be from the Big Ten or the ACC or maybe even Texas Tech or something. It's not going to be the SEC, Greg. They're down even more. And this is going to be a profoundly embarrassing result for the SEC. Because 2 years, you could chalk it up to a coincidence or whatever. Not 3 years. This is a real trend. There's been a shift here. And the SEC needs to figure out, if they want to maintain their football reputation, they're going to have to figure out what's wrong and start making some changes.
Yeah.
They got to start doing things a little bit different. They need to take some notes from Miami and Ohio State and possibly even Texas Tech.
Well, we got another caller throwing a bunch of gasoline on the fire, but yeah.
Hey, I'm just following where the facts are pointing, Greg.
All right.
All right.
I think Alabama's, I kind of agree, but we'll see. Alabama keeps getting better and better, so I don't want to put a ceiling on them right now. So we'll know more.
Well, I did say that if they were to play each other today, that Alabama wouldn't beat. It might change by the end of the year. So we'll see how all that goes. But hey, listen, you're doing great. Keep up the good work, and I'll talk to you later.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Thank you
all right,
very much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Brilliant. Rico, the grant of rights isn't close to over. Why the rush to extend it? It sounds shady. That's an interesting comment, Rico. Why extend it? Well, you need to extend it if you want to do the investment deal. The investment deal, they need 20 years to get back their money and more. Or they would need a high stake, more than 10%. You don't want that. So that is one reason why you'd want to extend the grant of rights to 2046. Another part of it is all the Big Ten schools, except for 2 of them. But again, 60% of them that are not the top branded schools are willing to do an unequal revenue share and unequal stakes in return to extend the grant of rights. I don't know. That seems like a fair deal, right? Michigan gets more money. They get even more money because the Big Ten new media deal in 2030 is going to be enormous. And Michigan's going to get all that and a little bit more. And the Buckeyes and Penn State, and yes, USC is going to be part of that. And they're going to have the greater percentage stake in the Big Ten enterprises. So they're getting all these goodies. And the goodies that the other schools get is an extension of the grant of rights. My question is not why the rush to extend it, but why the pushback not to extend it? Because what are your options that you're looking for other than being in the Big Ten? What are your other options? The Ohio State Buckeyes are willing to extend the grant of rights to 2046. I think they're looking at a lot of dollar bills if this deal goes through, not just the cash infusion. And maybe they believe the Big Ten enterprise, but they're going to get the top line and the unequal revenue sharing, top line on this and the increased stakes when it comes to the Buckeyes probably figure, man, we are going to make big bucks on this. Of course we're going to extend the grant of rights. And plus, we are a large research university. We're connected with Minnesota. We're connected with the University of Minnesota. That's connected with Mayo Clinic. I mean, my question is, why aren't you for the extension of the grant of rights? Well, because you want an option. Why do you want an option? What is the other option? And now we got paranoia. Now we got a fracture. We got a fracture. We got a fracture in the Big Ten. Again, if you're new to the channel, if you haven't done it yet, please subscribe to our channel and turn on those notifications. We can come on live at any time, night or day, covering all the breaking news, doing watch parties, doing PATC renditions of famous songs in correlation to what's going on in college football. I'm going to have to think about a PATC rendition to talk about this drama that is going on. If you've got any suggestions for a song that I can sing in correlation to what's going on here, put it in the chat room. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, turn on the notifications, smash the like button if you've liked our content today. I appreciate it. I want to thank those who donated to this channel to help us keep the lights on and grow the channel. Ryan Willie, a member for 22 months. Caleb Ramirez, Mr. Buckeye. Christopher Hooter, Mr. LSU Tiger. Kenneth Maynard, ECU Pirates. Jansen Roberts, Mr. Hoosier Ricky Tungate. OPD Don, Mayor McCheese, Expedition Greg, thank you for the $2 holler. I appreciate it. What's the watch party game this week, Greg? I do not know. I wish I could tell you, but I don't know. I've got so much going on. I don't know. I just don't know. I got a feeling that it's not going to be tomorrow night's game. It's not going to be Miami, Louisville, and it's definitely not going to be my beloved Golden Gophers playing the Cornhuskers. It does not look good for my Golden Gophers. Does not look good. We're going to keep rolling the boat. They're going to give great effort for PJ Fleck. But you can't win football games if you get dominated at the line of scrimmage. You cannot win football games when you can't block. So there it is. It doesn't get any more simpler than that. The yellow submarine. We all live in a yellow submarine. Yellow submarine. Could be. Could be. Could be. It is one of the reasons. It is one of the reasons, Rico. Greg, did the article say that the gore is why USC and Michigan are waiting? It's one of the reasons. Let me put it up on the screen again. Meanwhile, both Michigan and USC board members are opposed to extending the grant of rights. One of the reasons. They're opposed to it. 16 other Big Ten schools are not. that is going to cause a lot of paranoia, guys. A lot of paranoia. A lot. We've got breaking news. We've got breaking news. Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Hold on. Hold on. We've got breaking news. Breaking news. Let me pop this up a little bit more so people can actually read it. The Big Ten says in a statement that it will continue to hold conversations over the capital investment proposal. The league presidents and ADs held a call this evening. Michigan and USC are pushing back against the deal. The Big Ten Conference issued the following statement on behalf of the Big Ten Conference. Council of Presidents and Chancellors of the Executive Committee. Over a year ago, we instructed the conference to undertake a comprehensive process alongside our members to innovate for the future and extend the conference legacy of academic and athletic excellence. The Big Ten remains committed to modernizing the operations of our conference, strengthening the conference stability, preserving Olympic and women's sports, and enhancing the student-athlete experience. The conference has provided an option from a nonprofit partner, not private equity, that meets those objectives. Ultimately, it is the decision of the Big Ten member institutions, presidents, and chancellors to decide if it's the right opportunities, and those conversations are ongoing. So, what does that tell us? Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. Again, it's not what was said in this comment. What wasn't said in this comment. Ultimately, it is the decision of the Big Ten member institutions, presidents, and chancellors. There has been a few times where the commissioner has said it's up to the 18 members, presidents, and chancellors. This time he said it's up to the presidents, the member institutions, presidents, and chancellors. I don't know if that means anything. I don't know if that is a difference that has any meaning. It doesn't look either the Big Ten did not want to give the impression that this is dead, or it just isn't dead yet, because there may be continuing negotiations. But the Big Ten did come out with a statement and say they're still having conversations. And once again, the Big Ten Conference goes over the reasons why they want to do this, or at least why the option. Look, I think, and it's kind of frustrating as we sit here and talk about it, because I think one of the aspects that at least 16 of these universities believe in is they believe in the modernization of the conference. They believe in this Big Ten enterprises. The one thing that they truly believe in, we don't have a lot of details on, but they truly believe in it. So they went out, they've been doing this, Numbskull News, they went out of their way to define the type of deal it is. Tony Petitti did it on stage today. And he had reporters there. And he said, this is not a private equity deal. And yet tonight, some Michigan Board of Regents are calling it a private equity deal. And not only that, there's one particular Michigan Board of Regents that said the Big Ten not willing to look at other options and deals. The Big Ten has been doing that for months. So that Board of Regents, that one particular person, is either a complete moron or is a troll or just wants to kill it no matter what. Because he's saying things that just are patently untrue. Patently untrue. Acker for Michigan is either an idiot or a liar. Allegedly. Allegedly. I don't want to get sued. Allegedly. Allegedly. Hello, Greg. The leader of the Big Ten will now allow a radical board member from Michigan to derail his duties. Well, he did his duties in the sense, I think we can agree on this, Genetics. The commissioner presented the option. That's all he can do. It's the president votes. So Silent Tony, a person that I sometimes praise and sometimes I throw an elbow to, he did his job. He presented the options. But for this radical board member of Michigan to say that this conference has not been going through other options, that is completely false. I tell you what, though, and I've said this before, the University of Minnesota has some radical people at the Board of Regents. I remember the time. I don't need to go. I remember the time. I remember the time when Mark Coyle was planning on firing Tracy Claeys. And the reasons that he was going to let him go is because there was a whole bunch of scandals in the background. Even though Tracy Claeys went 8-4, won a bowl game against Washington State 9-4, and we were able to get the information that this was going to happen. We put a 212-hour time clock on Minnesota 247, and it happened. It didn't happen in 212 hours. It happened in 216 hours. We were 4 hours off because the Board of Regents, when Mark Coyle went in front of the Board of Regents, the Board of Regents did not want him to fire Tracy Claeys. They didn't have all the information that Mark Coyle said, that Mark Coyle had about what was going on with recruiting trips and a whole bunch of wild stuff. It was wild. It was a culture that was about to explode in the football program, a major scandal. Mark Coyle was trying to get out ahead of it, even though the Gophers went 9-4, and for Minnesota, going 9-4 is celebration time. So Mark Coyle is trying to fire Tracy Claeys, and the Board of Regents are saying, no, not going to do it. President Kaler had to get up in front of the Board of Regents and read them their powers that they had, and saying that Mark Coyle, named the athletic director, has the duties, the obligations to protect the program. He has the power to fire Tracy Claeys. And finally, the Board of Regents lawyers got involved and said, they looked at it, yep. We got to let Mark Coyle call the shot. So, my God, they weren't even going to let Mark Coyle do his job to save the school from scandal. Because they just want to interrupt them. They don't know what they're... Some of them don't know what they're doing. They're just... Jansen Roberts. Again, they won't move forward without Michigan and USC. Thank you for the $2 holler, Jansen Roberts. I think I agree with you, and I think I don't think they should. But man, we've had a couple of great phone calls tonight. Pat, Numbskull News and Rick talking about that option. And again, back to Genetics' comment. The leader of the Big Ten will not allow a radical board. Like the power of the commissioner, though, they can't supersede the decision making at a university, though, right? I don't know. All the Big Ten has to do is flip USC to a yes vote and give them a Tier 1 payout. Well, you guys know how I feel about that. Again, according to the reports, based upon this deal with unequal revenue sharing and different tiers of stakes within the Big Ten enterprises, a USC can move up to the top tier because of their great value, their great viewership numbers, and they're going to be probably really good in football. And I think they got a coin flip chance of beating Notre Dame this weekend. I think that line is absolutely ridiculous. The point is, USC not being top tier would not stop USC to becoming top tier if they truly are top tier. So, for that to be the big hang up, again, I don't know. Greg, does USC deserve Tier 1 money right now? I say no. Not because they're not a top brand, it's because, in my opinion, Michigan and Ohio State and Penn State have been great stewards of the conference. And they all bought into the Big Ten network. USC did not have to do that. So, I don't know. That's my opinion. I would not budge on that. Tom debate, do the Big Ten bylaws require an 18-0 vote or can it be 17-1? According to the reporting, in this particular UC investment fund, it's got to be an 18-0 vote. All of them have to agree. Now, the question is, if USC and Michigan don't budge, will the other 16 teams go to USC fund and try to work out another deal in where the grant of rights for 16 of the 18 schools go to 2046, where 16 of the 18 schools have a stake in the Big Ten enterprises? I don't know. Greg, would Notre Dame start out at USC payouts if they join too? And that, Nick, is a great comment. And that is my USC Trojan compromise. If the USC Trojans can get Notre Dame in the Big Ten, Notre Dame and USC start at top tier. But I will say this. Notre Dame is already written into the media contract. Notre Dame's value is already written into the current Big Ten media contract. And it is so big that if Notre Dame elected to join the conference, everybody would make more money. Everybody. It would lift all boats. So as big a brand, as valuable as USC is, as valuable as Penn State is, as valuable as Oregon is, and Washington, and Nebraska is, Notre Dame is on a different level. But I'm willing, if Notre Dame joins the conference, I'm willing to give USC top tier, because then the other schools are going to be willing to give up a little bit more of their media payouts, a little bit more of their stake in the Big Ten enterprises, because they're all going to make more money anyways because of the inclusion of Notre Dame in the current Big Ten contracts. So that's why. All right, guys, we're gonna lock it up. We've been on the air for 2 hours and 30 minutes, and I got a feeling that this story is not gonna go away. Yesterday we did a live show saying that Thursday, what did we say? Thursday could be the defining moment of the Big Ten, and sure enough, in some ways it is. Some way it is. We got a fracture in the Big Ten. Can the fracture seal up quickly? Can the fracture, like during COVID, there was a fracture. It's sealed up. It's sealed up. The leadership of Iowa, Nebraska, Ohio State really made it happen. Can the fracture in the Big Ten seal up again this time? Or is the fracture going to get wider? But I think the title of this program is completely accurate, because I think if the reporting is accurate, because the paranoia has got to be a little bit elevated inside the Big Ten. Inside the Big Ten. Okay, I want to thank all you for joining us. I do appreciate it. Keep your head on a swivel. We are going to talk about this tomorrow and a whole lot of other things in college football. Until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please you all take great care of each other. And as always, God, family,